right, super excited to be able to go live here with you guys today. If you are just joining me for the first time, welcome. And for those of you that join me, welcome back. So today I have alcohol on my table, and I promise I'm not drinking at 9 a.m. but we are going to use that alcohol in a preparation today. And then I also have a tea I want to share with you as well. So I am not in the garden today because we're going to make something. But also it may rain. So I don't want to get rained on in case it does rain. It's been off and on. 1 minute the forecast says it's going to rain, and the next minute it says it's not going to rain till lunchtime. So go figure, but I'm going to play it safe. And I got Buster Kitty joining me here. Hey, Esther's daughter, thanks for joining us. Hey, Tiger Lily, thanks for joining us as well. So you might be asking, what is a tincture? Most people know what a tea is. So I probably don't have to explain teas. But an herbal tea is literally an herbal concoction. It's an herbal infusion. Hey, Caitlin, thanks for joining us. When you make herbal teas, if you make it yourself, you can mix your own herbs, or sometimes you buy a pre-mixed herbal tea, and it's got a couple of different things in there for you, like an echinacea tea that has other beneficial things like rose hips or something. Hey, Krista, thanks for joining us. So today I'm going to make a single brew tea, a single herb tea, as well as a single herb tincture. Now, there are multiple ways of making tinctures, and I've got a couple of videos that I've used, or I've shown you guys before. You can use Everclear, which is a much stronger alcohol. I believe it's 80 to 100 proof. You have regular vodka, which is 40 proof, which 40 proof is 80%. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I'm not a whiz when it comes to different alcohols and things like that, but I do know that there are two that I use for tinctures. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would you use Everclear versus vodka? So if you're using a dry herb, you have less moisture content, less water content, and so you can use a less strong alcohol, which in this case I'm using vodka. So I have dried my herbs first. Hey, Michelle, thanks for joining me. Now, if I was using fresh herbs, I would want to use a stronger alcohol with less water content because there's a higher water content in my herbs. So for this situation, and also because I live in a somewhat dry county and I can't just go to a liquor store like down the road and get it. I've got to drive like 35 minutes to get anything like that. So I had vodka on hand that I used for my tinctures, and that's what I did. Now, say you don't want to use alcohol at all. Say you're averse to using that, which is absolutely fine. Or maybe you want to use it with your kids and you don't necessarily want to be giving your kids something with alcohol in it. And I also want to preface this by saying that when you're using this tincture, when you are consuming the tincture, you're taking like an eighth of a teaspoon at a time, or a couple of drops, or a dropper full. You're not like chugging this tincture. So you're not really going to be like, getting drunk on a tincture, because it's literally a couple drops to like an eighth of a teaspoon. But again, if you're totally averse to using alcohol, you can use, it's called vegetable glycerin. Or sometimes it's just called glycerin, but it is a food grade product that you can use. You can also use apple cider vinegar to make a tincture. Now, the reason that you would use alcohol over those other two options is it is more shelf stable. It will last for longer in your cabinet. If you use apple cider vinegar or you use vegetable glycerin, it doesn't have as long of a shelf life. So I've got cayenne tincture in my cabinet that is like almost 8 years old, and it's still good because the alcohol content in it keeps it shelf stable. Whereas if I used vegetable glycerin, or if I use apple cider vinegar, it has to be consumed faster, which I would just make less of it at one time. So for this in particular, we're making Goldenrod tincture and Goldenrod tea. Now, Goldenrod has some awesome health benefits to it. It is used for, now I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that it cures. I'm just saying that people use this to treat certain conditions. And those include seasonal allergies, which I have. So I'm really excited to be making this. It also helps with colds and flus. It also helps with urinary tract infections, or if you have urinary tract issues, a tea may help. You always want to seek medical advice if you think that you have an issue that cannot be resolved with herbs. And you always want to do your own research when you're using herbs, because there may be a contraindication. There may be something that conflicts, maybe if you're taking medication and you shouldn't be using goldenrod. So always figure something like that out before you take it. For example, my husband is allergic to, he's not allergic to it, but chamomile for me is awesome. Chamomile for him, it's in the family that bothers him, so he doesn't do chamomile tea. And you can also make dyes with this, so you could actually use this. You would boil some water and you would let a lot of this sit, and then you would strain out the flowers or the plant matter, and then you can dye some, like your clothes or some different yarns people have used. So there's a lot of great uses for it. You can also make a syrup from it. So there's a lot of great benefits to it. It's anti-inflammatory as well. It has been used for sinus congestion and allergies for hundreds of years. So this isn't something new. It's not something I came up with. It's just something that I wanted to share with you guys, because if you're in my area or if you're in East Texas, you may be seeing a literal ton of goldenrod. You may not be able to see it, but there's some goldenrod right there in the back. I'm looking over on one of my side gardens and I've got goldenrod there. I harvested this in the front of my seed shop. We don't use any herbicides or pesticides on our property, so I'm able to forage all over my property for this. So I'm going to pull these off so I can show you what it looks like. By the way, thank you for joining me. Please hit the thumbs up for my video and subscribe if you haven't already. So I'm going to show you a little closer. Oh, sorry, Buster. Buster was sitting underneath my table. So that is goldenrod. That's what it looks like. Now, I completely forgot to get out my actual goldenrod stems. So if you give me literally like 30 seconds, I'm going to make a run for it and grab it. Hi, Buster Kitty. All right, I'm back, and I brought my tea kettle with me. All right, so, and I'm running out of space, so I'm going to move my water cup here, and I'm going to put my tea cup here. So this is what goldenrod looked like when I harvested it. It's dried out now, so it's not as yellow as it was before. And so here's what I did. I took these stems. You can use more than just the flowers. You can actually use the leaf matter as well to make teas and tinctures from goldenrod. So these are not as bright and vibrant as they were. By the way, if you have any questions while I'm live, you guys are more than welcome to ask. If I miss your questions, please just repeat it for me. And if you are watching this on the replay, you can always send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I do answer. In the description section of this video, you'll find a link to Canada goldenrod seeds if you want to plant them on your own. And also my t-shirts. I just announced a 10% off discount code for all my t-shirts just for this weekend. So you can see I harvested a bunch of goldenrod so I can use these at a later time. And then what I did was I chopped them up into smaller pieces so that I can use them easier in my cups. I'm not going to make a massive amount of tea because it's just going to be me drinking it. And then I'm also not going to make a massive amount of tinctures because I don't really need a lot of tinctures. If I had a large family that I was, trying to offer some support, maybe I would make a bigger one. All right, so first let's start with the tea. I have this awesome strainer. I use this for so much. I got this from the Glass Cherry, and there's a couple different sizes, but this one is for the quart size. But I'm not making a quart size cup, but it still works. Okay, so I'm going to put for my tea. Sorry, dropped my stuff. For my tea, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of flowers. and then I'm going to pour my water on top of it. Esther's daughter says, is goldenrod a bush or a tree? It's a very tall bush. It looks like a weed. It is often confused with ragweed or ragwort. So you don't want to make a tea from ragweed. Please do not do that. So you want to make sure that you properly identify the plant before you consume it, before you harvested it. But I know on my property what is goldenrod, and so that's what I harvested today. So for my tea, I take my cup here. This is a wide mouth. I forget what size this is. I totally forgot. I want to say it's larger than a pint, maybe a half quart. So two tablespoons is what I would use, and obviously I'm winging it here because I don't have a tablespoon with me. So I'm just going to grab a couple of pieces of flowers. That's approximately 2 tablespoons, right? And then I want this hot. This is not hot anymore. So, but it was at one point. So I'm just going to, again, do it. Plus I didn't want to burn my fingers. So I'm going to let this sit and basically make a cold brew out of it. And this is literally just an herbal infusion. It's not anything magical. It's not anything, that I have to worry about. It's so super simple. And I've spoken about herbal infusions before. It's literally just making a tea, and you can use several different herbs, or you can use a single herb to make these. And so super simple. Now, again, for the tinctures, it's different. Hey, Jenny, thanks for joining me. For tinctures, we're going to pack the jar. And like I said, I'm using dried herbs right now instead of fresh herbs. I pulled these off the plant a couple days ago, and then I let it dry. If I was using fresh herbs, I would use a stronger alcohol content. But for this, I'm just using vodka because it's easy, and because I dried it, and because I have a massive amount of goldenrod right now. I mean, massive. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I take my jar. Again, it's a wide mouth jar. It's a very small one. I have a huge collection of ball jars. And so I'm going to pack my jar with plant matter. You can make it as packed as you want, or not, whichever you prefer. And then I'm going to take my alcohol here, and I'm going to pour it over. So this was approximately 1.5 cups of alcohol. You can use more or less. This will be nice and strong. And so when I'm done with this mixture, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the plant matter down so it's completely covered with alcohol. I'll probably put a little more in there so it's completely covered. Now I'm going to put a lid on this, and I'm going to store it in a cool, dry, dark place, which is just simply my kitchen cabinet. And I'm going to store this for 6 weeks. Before I start using this, I'm gonna want to make sure I store it for 6 weeks. It really is a way to pull the nutrients out of the plant so that you can consume your tincture. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to start with, if this is the first time I am making this tincture and using this tincture, I'm going to start with a very small dose. And then I'm going to work my way up and see what works for me. So I'm only going to do, like I said, a lot of times with these tinctures, depending on how strong you make it, you only need 1/8 of a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon. So you always want to start slow when you're using herbs. And I do want to add a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not giving medical advice. And anytime you try a new herb, even if it's, you grew it in your own backyard, you always want to do your research to make sure that that is an herb that is safe for you to consume. Because I know what medications I'm on or I'm not on. And so I know what may or may not interact with those. And I don't know what you may be taking or not taking. And so you want to make sure that if you do have a medical condition, that you do your research to make sure that it's safe for you to consume. Just throwing that out there at you. I mean, there are some people that can't eat pineapple because of a medication they're on. So, and pineapple isn't an herb, it's just something that you can grow. Well, not everybody can grow, but it does grow really well in Florida. So if you are looking to make more tinctures, or if you're looking to make more herbal concoctions, I did do a video about making herbal infusions, and it's just as simple as making an herb tea, and you can have your own little mini pharmacy in your own kitchen cabinet. So one of the, sorry, it's really sticky out here. One of the herbal infusions I make is spearmint and stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is an herb, but it's also considered a weed by a lot of people. I love it because it helps me with my allergies. It may not help everybody, but it helps me. And the spearmint is nice because it gives it a little more flavor. Another one I make is lemon balm tea. Another one I make is purple basil. So it's literally as simple as making an herbal tea. You can make it in an iced tea. You can make it in a hot tea. But the one I shared most recently was purple basil iced tea. It's so refreshing, and basil has anti-inflammatory properties that are really good for some people. So if you have inflammatory issues, maybe making a basil tea would be helpful for you. And basil is so silly to grow. It is so easy that this year I didn't even have to plant basil because I had basil coming up all over the place because I saved seeds last year and the seeds dropped everywhere. So if you want to be able to harvest seeds that come true to type next year, you want to make sure that you don't have any other basil flowers at one time, right? Whereas Goldenrod is native to East Texas. It's actually native to a lot of different states. I was reading in Virginia, there's like 30 something different varieties of goldenrod that grow in their area. Canada goldenrod is what I harvested today. Those are the seeds that we carry. Those are the seeds that I harvest as well. And Canada goldenrod is native to us here in East Texas. And I know it might sound funny that it's called Canada, but it is in fact native to East Texas. So if you're looking to grow your own goldenrod, definitely check it out. It would be a great one for you to add to your medicinal garden for next year if some of the benefits to this would be helpful. Sorry, I was worried that there was going to be a critter coming after me. Brunette Mode says, does the tincture need to be covered when it's in the cupboard? Yes, I did cover that. I didn't bring my lid out here, but when I'm done with this video, I'm going to put a tight lid on this. I do have the ball jar lids for these. And I'm going to put a lid on this, and I'm going to put it in the kitchen cabinet. So you'd never want to store anything open. You don't want any critters like bugs to get in there, and you also don't want any dust to get in there, and you don't want any contaminants in your tincture. So the tea I made with my tea strainer, this one is not shelf stable. This one needs to be refrigerated if you don't drink it all. You can add some raw honey to it if you want, and this can be refrigerated for a couple days but needs to be consumed within a couple days. Whereas the tincture, like I mentioned earlier, the tincture needs to be stored with a lid on it, and store it for 6 weeks before you start using it. Now, I'm also not going to use it with the flowers in it. After 6 weeks, I'm going to remove the lid, and I'm going to scoop out all of the plant material in here. I'm going to probably throw the plant material away, and I won't put it in my compost bin because it has an alcohol content to it. Whereas my tea I made, the extra leaves that I strain out, with my little strainer, the extra leaves that I strain out, I'm going to toss those in the compost pile, no problem. So that is it for me. That was super simple and easy. Now I have goldenrod tea. I've got goldenrod tincture to put in the kitchen cabinet, and I will check back with you maybe in 6 weeks and let you know how it's going. If you have any questions, you can always reach out in an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I do actually answer your questions. In the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my, that was Buster running through. You'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide. You'll also find a link to these seeds, Canada Goldenrod and also a link to save 10% off on all my Mary's Heirloom Seeds t-shirts this weekend. So that is it for me. I'm going to go enjoy my garden on this beautiful morning here in East Texas. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy planting.